In Arkansas, this layer deserves to be taken for granted because it has been showing up in the local cafés, potlucks, and church suppers for decades. This time, Renee's making
Arkansas Possum Pie. Possum Pie has a funny name, and it comes from the idea of playing possum, looking simple on top while hiding so much more underneath. Every layer is made from scratch, and today I'm going to show you exactly how to make it.
It's another beautiful day here in the Shire, where Renee has dug up another regional recipe that she thought deserved a closer look.
First step, we have one egg here, and I'm actually going to use the yolk for the next part of this, so I'm going to take this egg and crack it, and then I am going to split this in half. And see the egg white? It's completely separate if you do it like this. You just want to make sure you don't get any yellow in there. And then we put the yellow right over here, and I'm going to put that over here for another part of this recipe. So we're going to take a little bit of, a little bowl. We're going to put some water in there, and then we're going to put our egg white. I'm going to take my handy dandy little whisk, and I'm going to beat this with a whisk until frothy. I like that froth. Then we're going to add some sugar to this. It's very easy to do. A little bit of salt. And then I'm adding a little bit of cinnamon for flavor. And then we're going to take our whisk again, and we're going to mix that in just like we were doing, and we want that sugar to dissolve a little bit. So we're just going to add some air to that. Oh, that looks really good. So that's what you want that to look like. That egg has thickened that up a little bit. That's beautiful. And then I've got some pecan halves here, and I am going to dump these in, and I'm going to get a spatula, and I'm going to give these a stir. And I'm going to make sure they're thoroughly coated. And I'm going to let those sit for just a minute, and we're going to get a pan. Okay, so I've put parchment paper on this pan just to keep them from sticking. If you don't have parchment paper, that's okay. Just, you're going to stir these frequently anyway. So give those one more stir, and then we're going to pour them on this pan. So there are other ways to make candied pecans. The reason I'm making these today is we have a little bit of time because of this recipe today. And so I decided to do them like this, and they just low and slow will give you the best tasting candied pecans you've really ever tasted. So the next step is we're going to take these, and we're going to put them in a 300-degree oven somewhere between 30 and 50 minutes, depending on how they move, and I'll just keep you informed. We're going to stir them every 10 minutes. And I think my timer is going to go off for my pecans over here, so we'll get those, and I'll show you what we have to do with these. This is really an interesting process, and this looks great. We're just going to stir these up. You may have to hold that paper down to do this, but it avoids a really sticky pan at the end. We're going to stir those, spread them out again. And the difference in time for these depends on how thick you can get that first sauce that we poured over this, so which is why I spent a little time whisking that. Okay, 10 more minutes. Okay, so it's been 20 minutes on these, and they are looking really good. I like that shine, and I think this batch is not going to take the 50 minutes, but we shall see. I'm going to put them in for another 10 minutes. They've been in for about 30 minutes. They're feeling good. These are very hot. Don't do this at home. You can use a knife or a spatula, but very hot. I can tell they're getting close to done, but I didn't like the way they were sticking to the parchment paper. It was taking some of the actual candy part off, and it was very difficult to stir them while they were on that paper. And so now I've got them separated, and we won't have that problem again. And I am going to put these in. They're looking great. I just want them a little bit harder. You can take these out at this point if you like. They're perfectly fine. They're just going to be a little chewy between your teeth. So I'm going to put them in for about another 5 or 6 minutes, and I think they'll be done. Okay. Okay, here is our pecans. They're dark. They've got a nice coating on them, but it's not obscuring them, and it hasn't turned white. And when these cool off, they're going to be hard with a crunchy edge. So we'll put these to the side. But this is step 2. Quick. We're going to make the pecan crust. So we're going to put this on here, and we're going to just mush these up. Okay. Oh, that looks much better. Absolutely perfect. And so that's the first step in this. Okay, so we've got our ground pecans. We're going to add some flour. I'm using dark brown sugar. I think it tastes richer and more delicious this way. You can also use light brown if you don't have it. It tastes great that way as well. This just adds an extra little oomph. I've got some salt. And I'm going to mix this up. Just get that all mixed in. I have some butter at room temperature. I'm just going to break it into little pieces. And then I have some vanilla, and I'm going to dump that right in. This dough is not like your traditional dough where you have to be careful with it. In fact, I'm going to use a mixer to get this mixed up. I'm going to put this on low to begin with. See, it's just about 1 minute and 10 seconds, and it's pretty close to where I want this. Now what we want is to be able to squeeze this into a ball. Oh, that looks so good. And believe it or not, that's as easy as this pie crust is, and that breaks all of the pie crust rules. And the first time I made this, I thought it was just going to be as tough as a board, but it is not. It is absolutely delicious. Okay, so I'm going to take this, kind of just spread it out with my hands, and we're just going to start pushing this up around. And I did notice I don't want my fingers to get stuck to this, and because it's soft and it's got butter in it, I find it easier. I don't want to add any more flour to it either. So I'm just coating my hands in sugar, and that helps get that not sticking to your fingers, and it also just adds a little bit of taste, but not too much. You just want to move this around so that your crust is even all the way around. On the bottom, you want an even crust that's not too thick. When you get to the corners of this, a mistake that is made with these pie crusts is that everybody kind of just rounds it up the side, and then you get that big fat piece on the right near the edge, and it doesn't cut well, and it gives you it doesn't cook as much as the rest of it. So you want to push your fingers in so that it's flat up against the pie wall. You know, it still might happen, so don't be discouraged, but it's better if you just push that up against and try to get that as much into the corner of the pie pan as you can. And then we're just shaping this, and I've got it just hinting over the edge, but you don't want this to be a regular pie crust where you pull it out to the side. It doesn't work well with this crust. And then I'm just going to go around one more time and clean that up a little bit. I'm just going to poke this a little bit. I'm not going to do much poking on the bottom. The bottom does fine. I don't want too many pokes there. I am going to try to poke around the edge, because this tends to want to fall down, and this helps that. The nice thing about this is that when it's hot, it's easy to push back. It's not like a regular dough. Okay, and now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put this in the freezer for 10 minutes or so while we're moving along with the rest of the ingredients to cool that butter down, because even though we can touch this more, we still want that butter to pop because it just brings this to a completely different level. So we're going to put it in the freezer while we make the next component of our 6-piece wonderfully relaxing project for the afternoon.
With the pie crust resting in the freezer and those candied pecans being finished, it looks like everything's in place for the pie layers to start taking shape. Up next is that deep, rich chocolate pudding. And Renee's about to show you an easier stovetop method that will give you a delicious, reliable filling every time. Right after this.
The name Possum Pie definitely made me suspicious when I first heard about it. I remember thinking, what in the world is that? So now I want to know, what's a dish that you've heard of that turned out to be completely different than what you expected? Did you try it and end up loving it, or not so much? Let me know in the comments below. I always love hearing from you. I've made pudding since I was about 10 years old. It's extremely easy. I know people are a little nervous about doing that. It seems like a lot of work, but it really isn't. I'm going to show you exactly how to make this. First thing we're going to do is we've got some chocolate here, about 6 ounces of chocolate, and I'm just going to chop it up a little bit. It doesn't have to be small. Just wanted to add a little extra depth of flavor. So I've got some bittersweet chocolate here, which is just lovely where chocolate is concerned. So I am going to take that and I'm going to put it in this bowl. And with that, I'm going to put some vanilla and a little bit of butter, and we're going to put that to the side for a moment. I'm going to put some sugar in there, some cocoa, some cornstarch, a little bit of salt. This is an optional ingredient. This is espresso powder. I'm looking for a deep, rich flavor and trying to keep this from being a cloyingly sweet dessert. So you may or may not want to add this. Completely up to you. I like the depth of flavor this adds. Okay, so we're gonna mix that up together. And then we've got quite a bit of milk here, and I'm gonna add just a little bit, probably a half a cup. And I'm gonna get that all mixed up. We're just trying to get that cocoa mixed in. For some reason, it's hard to get that wet. All right, that looks good. Now we're going to add the rest of our milk and some heavy cream. And we're gonna mix that well. Get that all mixed together. And we're doing all of this off of the stove, which is very unusual. And then we're going to add the eggs. I'm just going to add those one at a time. And then we're going to add the other egg. Okay, now comes the exciting part. We're going to put this on the burner and we're going to put it on medium heat. And we are going to stand here and stir this, whisk this the entire time that we're standing here. So this is like making a roux for macaroni and cheese. When you first start, technically you should keep stirring because lumps get in it, but you can stir slower. Or you can just take a vacation for 5 seconds and then stir. But once this gets going, and you can see heat coming through. You don't want to stop whisking. When you start doing this, you're going to see lumps of the cocoa, not lumps, but little pieces of the cocoa and the espresso powder. As we go along, that should dissipate and go and melt into this mixture. See, the lumps have already started going. The little pieces are definitely going away. See, if you can look, they're gone. So don't panic when you start stirring this and you see little pieces of things. They should dissipate. What you're looking for while you're stirring is anything that's coming off of the bottom. And that's what we're doing, is we're keeping that chocolate and milk. Milk wants to stick to the bottom, especially on a medium heat or high. So you're just moving that around so that it continues to stay mixed in with the milk mixture. See the steam? Steam. And then what we're looking for is this to bubble. And when it starts bubbling, that's when good things happen. It's also when bad things can happen. So we're going to keep track of what's happening here. Okay, watch this. See, we've got stuff on the bottom we're stirring in. And that's why it says whisk continuously. And when it gets hotter and hotter, it gets more and more. So you just want to keep... I try to have a balance between whisking and keeping the heat in there and the stuff off the bottom and not cooling it off, but it's really moving along here. So I stop every once in a while to see if it started boiling, bubbling. Okay, see this? See what's happening? Oh, I don't know if you can see all of this, but there's all kinds of bubbling. Look, that's awesome. And we're just going to keep stirring around the edges. It's almost there. I can see little bubbles under the surface. So I've got a timer here, and I've got it on for 1 minute. And we're going to stir this for a minute while it's bubbling. There it goes. See it bubbling? And does this smell good? And you want to just keep stirring. See it? Bloop. Just get those edges. And look how quickly that's coming together. Oh, that's looking really good. Okay, I'm going to go because I'm looking for really clean slices, I'm going to go about another 20 seconds here. Okay. All right. And so the bad things that can happen, which are burning to the bottom or splitting, did not. And we've got a perfect pudding mixture here. Now we go back to our chocolate and butter and vanilla, and we're going to pour this all over the top of that chocolate. And I mean, you think this looks delicious now. That mixture was chocolatey and delicious. This just sends it over the top. Okay, we'll let that go. Now we're going to make sure all of that hard chocolate is underneath there. And we're going to leave that alone for a few minutes and let that chocolate melt under there. Okay, it's been about 30 seconds. Let's see where we stand with this. Okay, that's looking yummy. So we're going to take our regular whisk. Now what we're going to do, see how it's kind of lumpy and separated from the butter? we are going to make this shine. So we're going to just take this whisk and we're going to whisk this around. Now, I don't know if you can see the difference, but that is shiny and delicious. And we're going to take a piece of plastic wrap and we're going to put it down and we're going to cover that. We do not want a film to develop. And we're just going to leave this on the counter for a little bit and then I'm going to put it in the refrigerator to cool it off.
That's one layer down. Up next is Renee's decadent cream cheese base layer, and then her unbelievable whipped cream topping that not only tastes amazing, it also stays firm without the use of any kind of funky stabilizer. Stick around.
I left this in for longer than 10 minutes, which is okay. I am now going to put it in the oven, and we're going to bake this for approximately 24 minutes, 25. We'll check it as we go. Okay, in we go. The oven is on 350 degrees and I'm going to set a timer for 15 minutes so that I can check to see how the crust looks at that point. Okay, so this has gone for about 25 minutes and I'm really happy with it. That is gorgeous. It's brown, poking the holes in the side. Let this stay up. So I'm really happy with this. And we're going to let this cool. And then I'm going to show you how to put this together. And the final step with this crust. We have a secret method we're going to be trying today. Okay, we're going to start the cream cheese layer. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to whip some cream. This is heavy cream. Just going to get all of that out of there. And we're going to take this to medium peaks. All right, I'm leaving that alone. Okay, we're going to set that aside. And as you can see, this is kind of, it's fluffy. But that's the way I want it because we have to set that aside, so that's fine. Now we've got some confectionery sugar. We've got some cream cheese. We have some sour cream here. We have some vanilla. And we have some salt. Okay, I'm just gonna push that all down. And then I'm gonna take my mixer on a very low speed. And we want to get this light and fluffy. And this is a perfect bowl for this because I don't have to keep chasing it. And so now I'm gonna turn up that speed. And that sour cream is going to lift that to new levels. Okay, that looks great. And now I'm going to take my light and fluffy whipped cream, which looks gorgeous, and I'm going to place it right on top of this. And once again, I'm going to use the smaller bowl because it gives me the ability to keep this small amount of product together, and it makes it more effective when you're folding so that you don't have such a big area. At least I find this works the best way. And then we're just going to start folding this, and folding, our goal is to get that whipped cream mixed in there without deflating either one of the things we've done to get air into these things. That is just gorgeous. And as you can see right now, there's your sour cream and piece of this, and here's the whipped cream. So I've got white and almost white, and I don't want to be able to see that, but I also don't want to flatten this. So I'm just going to continue to fold that in gently. You don't want to go like this because you'll really flatten that out. And I think that looks perfect. Okay, so there's the next to the last step of putting anything together, and the next one is easier than this one. So this is a whipped cream that is completely different than the whipped cream I normally make. So we've got some mascarpone here. I don't know if you say it mascarpone or mascarpone, but this is a tart flavored ingredient that sends this into orbit, really. Okay, so we're going to put the mascarpone, some confectionery sugar, some vanilla, and some salt. And we're going to give that a little mix. Just get that mixed together. My smaller bowl is being used. So, and then I'm going to take a couple of tablespoons of cream, heavy cream, and I'm going to mix that in with that just to get it mixed together and creamy. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add the rest of our cream. We're going to beat this into stiff peaks. I'm seeing my beaters running through, so that's a good sign. And this is taking a little bit longer because I'm on a lower speed and it's got other ingredients in there, so it's just going to take the time it takes, and that's okay. All right, this is looking great. Like that. Ooh, that was perfect timing. So that looks great. Okay, I'm going to just stir this up and just show you how creamy and delicious that looks. That is perfect looking whipped cream. Yum. Okay, so what we're going to do with this now, I'm going to put this in the refrigerator and we're going to let that all cool down. We're going to take this pie crust out in just a minute. Okay, so this has cooled off. And now for the very last step before we assemble this. So what we're doing now is I've got a little bit of bittersweet chocolate here that I'm going to melt. So that's what we're looking for. And that water is nice and hot, which is going to make this really nice to spread. And then I'm going to come over here very carefully and put this on the rack. I'm going to put this right on the pie crust. We're just going to brush that around. Oh, that looks so cool. And what it's going to do is it's going to protect that crust so that it doesn't absorb, so it stays crunchy, basically. And we will leave that alone. And now what we're going to do is we're going to let this harden up. It will take about 10 or 15 minutes. And then we're going to come back and we're going to construct this deliciousness that we've just spent time making. We'll be right back. Okay, so this looks amazing. It's all hard. What we're going to do next is put our cream cheese filling that we made earlier. And we're going to put this all in. Scrape everything out of the bowl. You don't want to leave that stuff behind. And then we're just going to start spreading this around so that it's an even layer. And I like this. Sorry. Okay, that feels great. Okay. So that's step one. Okay, so this chocolate pudding is nice and cool. It's nice and thick. And I'm going to start around the edges. And we're going to start going around the edges. And this is the tricky layer. You do not want to like pull it over to the side. You want to get the white all completely covered. And so we're going to go around the edges first. Once you get this covered up, you're pretty safe, but you don't want to drag that white layer into the brown layer because it's quite impressive when you cut it until it comes out. We're good with that. And then I just think I'll start in the middle. And there's that. Now we have a couple things left to do. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a pecan in the middle, and then I'm just going to put them around in a circle. It looks pretty good. All right, so I took a chocolate bar, and I'm shaving the chocolate bar. I am putting my hands on it just for a minute to warm up this edge. And then I am taking a cheese slicer. So let's see if we can make it work. See those little curls? Oh, hold on. Okay, here we go. Look at that curl. Oh, I think that is the coolest thing. So what I thought I would do is just put them around the edge so that there's a chocolate layer. And that looks yummy. What we're going to do is we're going to put this in the refrigerator. It's all cold, so technically you could cut this now. It's just it all needs to settle a little bit so that when you slice it, the layers don't run into each other as much.
Okay then. The pie has to rest up in the fridge for a little while in order for those yummy layers to settle into place. Because when we come back from this break, Renee is going to cut into that pie and serve us up a slice with a nice hot cup of coffee. Naps after might be mandatory.
I was going to cut this after a couple of hours. However, I went to sleep instead. And so this sat overnight. What we're going to do now is cut it and see how it looks. I'm going to cut in between the pecans. Okay. See if we can get this out. This first piece is always kind of stressful. Oh my gosh, that looks heavenly. Oh, goodness gracious. Let's see if we can scrape that up a little bit. Look at the layers on that. Oh my word, look at that chocolate layer. Oh my, that looks so good. And I am just going to take a delicious bite of this. Oh, that's too big. Oh dear. That's really big. Okay. I'm gonna just do it. So good. Oh my gosh. All of the flavors combined, the tart, that chocolate is unbelievable. That pudding, the whole thing together is fabulous. Look at that. I don't know, can you see the layers and the chocolate in between? The crunch on that crust is amazing. And it's sat overnight, and sometimes you know how that gets soft. It is still crunchy. It's just unbelievably delicious. I hope you make it, and I hope you enjoy it, and please let me know. Thank you so much.
Ready for seconds? Don't put your spoon down yet. Tap this video, and Renee will meet you there. Want to see Renee's digital cookbook? Every entry has its own free recipe card download, and a link back to its video right here on YouTube. You can find it all now at kitchenintheshire.com. Go have a look. I'll keep the kettle on until you get back.